Greetings, gentlemen and others. This is Blight's Rich, and welcome to this 4-man FFA Frigate Abyss showcase slash guide. We're going to be basically covering this breacher, which was a monster inside of the Abyss. Got a triple tank, got a dual medium shield booster, anti-shield boosters, the small armor booster, which makes for a insane amount of tank. You have okay range control because Breacher's base speed's actually really good, and you'll find that a lot of the frigates in the free-for-all only had like a web MWD or MWD scram. And the Breacher's base speed allows you to basically pull range from MWD scram individuals, and then the MWD web boys, you can still use your MWD, although it will hurt your cap a lot, but you'll still have range control so you can turn off their MWD. The only problem comes to when they have ABs, and there was occasionally AB tormentors that gave this breacher a really hard time, but most dudes you'll have almost some form of range control on, or you'll be able to outlast in a tank. It's just if you don't get dogpiled, which some people seem to do when seeing a breacher, which was a smart decision considering how tanky they are, and you kinda... It's very difficult to beat one in a 1v1, you need a multiple people to really kill it unless you're in a breacher yourself. Or an AB tormentor. Also, the Punisher that was going around, that's like dual rep, also gave it a bit of a hard time. But anyway, boys, to fit this, you need what's called a 2% CPU. I was also rocking a standard blue pellet and an agency hard shell. Those two boosters are totally not required. It just depends on how try hard you want to go. Of course, we like to try hard a bit. But you can all, of course, go for like an improved or strong, blue pellet if you really want to. Or of course, you can up the dose 2 to dose 3 or dose 4 if you're a mad lad. But I would try to keep it kind of cheap. It's still not that cheap, man. The 2% CPU certainly adds to the cost if you constantly lose these, and then you have to re-roll your boosters and stuff. So it does add up, and the boosters aren't necessary. There would have been some fights I would have lost without those boosters. But, it is what it is. You go with or without. But I'm going to stop mumbling, boys. Let's get into the fighting. Okay, for this first fight, it's pretty chill. Just to note, once you spawn in one of these arenas, you have an invuln time, or you can be locked. You'll see like a blue timer up the top left next to the purple, and then the white one if you have any boosters going. Just take that time to look at your opponent, see what guns you have. Or it's like if that Rifter already fit is going to be Kaidi. Just give yourself a little bit of intel going into the fight. I ran the slasher, and that's not. Do not take that advice. Wait. Generally, how these FFA goes, and it is really annoying. Everyone just burns to the opposite ends of the arena and wait for someone to commit. And when a pair does commit, the other two come in and dogpile, and usually come out on top. It's really, really rough, man. Sometimes we wait like 5 to 10 minutes before a move is played. But thankfully, this wasn't one of those fights. I killed a slasher really easy. You notice I just approached him there. I should really orbit them to get underneath his gun somewhat, just because we were rockets, but I was underestimating them. So the Rifter and Curses, I help out the Rifter initially fighting Curses because I think it's going to be a hard target to break. I should have beelined in there and put my guns on him as the Rifter was fighting him, but I don't. So it's basically a 1v1 for a long time. These dual rep and Curses take a long time to kill. I keep him at range, trying to get his Void and Antimatter range, whilst basically applying like a good amount of range, just because we're a breacher and we're using missiles. We do end up coming on top once the resist nerf comes in. So nevertheless, you have those individuals. Okay, this is another really nice fight, which doesn't happen all that often. So I see this Kestrel, I checked his guns, he was like missiles. I see him put a shot into the other Tristan, who puts his drones on the Kestrel. So I'm like, alright, sweet. There's going to be 2 1v1s. So I see this Tristan just sitting out there doing nothing, so I want to get that 1v1 in. So I basically approach him, orbiting to perhaps get underneath his gun somewhat, if possible. I'm not going to make it too much damage from his drones. Get those missiles cracked into him and hope that he dies. The other 2 individuals are also, of course, fighting. And they're getting low as well. Now, I'm not tanking crazy like. I still have a lot of my tank left, and these guys are actually pretty close. So once I kill this Tristan, I go into the other Tristan who seems to be in a better place than the Kestrel was that just died. So basically, approach. Get him blasted. I still have plenty of reps left. He has a newt, which is very, very interesting. That's really rough for a small armor repper. And there are other medium anti-shield boosters on reload. This is actually a really close little fight there. Yeah, the nice little brawl is fantastic when it happens, when you get those 2 1v1s on the go, and then it's just like a mess at the end. That isn't always going to be the case. Okay, this is another fantastic little fight. This Breacher at the start is so keen to fight me, which is a pain because you don't really want to be the first one to commit in a fight like this. You can see that I'm scramming him off me, trying to pull range, hoping he's going to get distracted by something else, but no, he is determined. No, I just can't shake him off. I can occasionally seize MWD web, but yeah, I basically commit at one point, saying, alright, I'm not going to lose this guy, he is keen, so I'm going to orb him 1k, crack some missiles into him and hope that he dies before I do and no one else comes to third party, which thankfully they don't in this situation, but it's almost guaranteed that someone will need FFAs, especially if they're competent or they've been doing it for a while. It's just a strategy. It sucks, but it is what it is. But thankfully it doesn't happen here. Strategy with the Rippers, by the way. Usually if a single medium ANSI and a small armor ripper breacher, you generally want to use the armor reps first, so that when you're unloaded the ANSI reps, you have the medium shield booster to basically cover those reps. That makes sense, but in this kind of setup, you basically want to try and use the MSC, the first MSC first, and then the second MSC, but use the armor ripper to cover for the second one reloading, if that makes sense. You generally want to use it to try and, you know, stall for your other shield booster to, what's it called, reload itself. But you'll see most of the fights here, I don't follow them on device, just cause I'm trying to use shortcuts more often, like all these buttons in my smooth braid, it's rough, mate. Like using these amount of modules, it freaks me out, dude, it really does. So again, I'm not really being super efficient in my like reps and stuff. But nevertheless, you have to do those two breachers. And save the best to last, boys! This is a nutty little fight, this. Okay, so Rifter, Tristan, Tormentor. Okay, I'm expecting this to just be a regular fight. I checked their guns. Was this guy? He looked like he was autos. He has some maybe weird brawly fit. There's like a shield web Rifter that was going around, so I was maybe expecting that. Now, all these guys are really close and moving. None of them are engaging each other, so I'm like, oh, good! They're all against me! So I'm not sure if they talk to each other and like, alright, go for the breacher, or they just were not keen for the breacher. Which is fair, the breacher is fairly meta in this thing, and it's super tanky. So, I can pull range from this Rifter. Tormentor's AB fit. The Tristan's got his drones on me, which isn't ideal. I think he pulls back the drones at some point, which is amazing. Fantastic. So I start orbiting the Rifter. So of course I can't pull range from him. I'm sorry getting around these guns a little bit, or I'm able to tank his autocannon DPS whilst applying. You'll see that the R2 smell blood in the water. They start coming over, the Tristan and Tormentor, but the Tristan, he goes out of boundary. So I'm fairly sure Tormentor was still shooting at me at that time, so he must have just boundaried, which is fantastic for me. Karma is a bitch! So now it's just me and a Tormentor. I pull range since he's AB fit, get myself repaired, you know, just reload everything. Bring paste with you, by the way, in these arenas, because if you get an opportunity like this, you can use the nanite repair paste to repair modules. And actually, I don't know if I brung repair paste in this one, because I would have probably repaired. But, anyway. So you go back in with rage missiles, which isn't a good shout, by the way. Some AB frigates, even with a single web, you aren't going to apply rage missiles to it. You need dual webs to apply rage missiles to an AB frigate. Even MWD frigates that are scrammed with rage missiles, you aren't always going to apply fully. It's only if they like aren't constantly going max speed. Faction missiles is definitely a good call to maybe always rock, especially when against those, you know, MW. Even when you scram them, also gives you opportunities to pull yourself out further in the orbit or something. But you see that I just use rage in most of these fights and it does me well. But I do switch to faction missiles when going up against this Tormentor again. This Tormentor is probably going to be one of the worst things for you to fight in this arena. And just AB things in general. So you see that, yeah, I do have repair paste. I take that time to just, you know, repair my things. The Tormentor's just chilling. I basically want to orbit him, try and get him off his guns somewhat because he's beams. So I'm thinking, alright, let's use MWD to maybe try and get him off his guns whilst using faction missiles. And pray, basically. The MWD does increase our sig quite substantially, so I don't know how well it does to mitigate damage from his guns by doing this, but I'm thinking it's doing the trick. So you see with the resist nerf gone, we kill him! Albeit very close, so against all odds, we win it, boys. That felt amazing. That was the best fight we had. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that, boys. Now, to give credit where credit is due, I did not come up with this fit. Initially, I was using like a dual shield booster with like nanos and like speed mods in the low, as opposed to the dual shield booster and the small armor rep. Where I first originally came across this, who I had really good fights with, is Thor Johannesson. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've always been bad with names. Of Odin Call. I'll put like a Mad 3 picture up of his a little face. But yeah, I had really good fights with him. And then when I lost, I think it was both I lost against him when I was rocking the Arbor Breach. I was like, Buzz Chicken Sea Kill. And then here we are, boys. So yeah, it was a great little fit. Again, not my creation. This gent's, like his. By the way, boys, that is all we have for this. I will be making a guide, or a couple of guides, or just like showcase. Wouldn't really say this as a guide, more just a showcase of the fit. Of the Interceptor 1v1 that's coming up. We're going to go hard, gentlemen! It's the best 1v1, farm some solo kills maybe, I don't know, or get yourself smashed. We shall see. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, gents, and yeah, take care.